What's up, guys? It's Andrew Rapier here of Beat It AT Production and Publishing, bringing you guys a new tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be breaking down this Tory Lanez type beat. As you can see, we got everything labeled, so we get the intro, chorus, verse, chorus too. I'm gonna go ahead and automatically just name all these things as well, so we have them already done. I did a beat session while making this beat, so that beat session video will go up on our YouTube page around the same time that this tutorial goes up. So if you guys kind of want to see the process that we did while making the beat, like actually making it, you guys can go check that out as well. I'll put the link in the description once that video is uploaded. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play the whole beat of what we got right now, so you guys can get an understanding of what we're gonna be breaking down. So here we go. So that was the beat that we made. I think the beat took about like 55 minutes to create total. So we started out with actually the piano, and we find this was the original melody. And we used Omnisphere. And the patch was this piano that would play and then kind of reverse back. So if you listen, you might be able to hear it. And so up here, we had the piano, then we pulled in piano 2, which just kind of had some chords at the bottom. And then with the higher octave notes, you could hear the reverse a little bit higher or a little bit louder. So we kind of focused on that with whenever we had the higher notes, but we didn't do too many of them. And then on top of that, we had this pad. And so the pad was Nexus. It was just a in the big tones pack. And then if we went over to our thing, I believe, yeah, we created a band pass effect on this pad. So here's what it sounds like. Here's what it sounds like without it. Just slightly. And this gross beat, if you see that gross beat, all that is a mute, which I'll get to that later. So as you can see, we get the piano, the pad, then we come up here, then we pull up these analog strings. The analog strings were part of Omnisphere as well. And we had these filters on top of it. The parametric equalizer actually was kind of like a low pass, so we cut out the high end, but then we put them right here. We automated it, so came to the love filter was a different effect as well. It was just, and here's the mute right here, the gross beat. So if we pulled up down here, gross beat, all you do, anything down here affects with the volume. So we got the fade out in, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. So I just do mute, and this is just the way I do it to kind of quick mute something. All you need to do is right click it and then create automation clip. So then if it's at 100%, if the mix level is at 100%, then that means it's going to mute it completely. Once it goes away, where it's not, the mix level isn't at 100%, then it will play through. So, and then right here, we had the snare, the little snare roll. So we just went into snap and then went to third step and did this. And then, yeah. So when we put that in the snare, this one, we did a little distortion, a little EQ, and then some reverb to kind of get that Tory Lanez feel. I know that's very vague, and a lot of people use reverb, but in rap and music, a lot of that Toronto feel incorporates a lot of like low pass filters, just filters in general, and like a lot of reverb, whether it's on the vocals or like these instruments being very airy. And so that was one of the reasons why I picked the piano, because the piano is very light and it was kind of like ominous, and like, yeah, it kind of like floated. I don't know. And then here we got before I get into the 808, I do want to point out this. I don't want to forget it. We created a automation, which this green one right here, which only turns on the distortion in the 808 in the chorus section. So you hear how it's like a little crunchy. If we go up here, it's not so crunchy. So that's all I want to say about that. So now in the piano for this one, there's just slight melody changes. This is for the chorus, by the way. So we kind of created a little bit more bounce to it, and that was the same piano melody in the whole entire chorus. The pad didn't change, and we brought in this synthetic choir, which was from Nexus, and it was in this little pack that I have called 808 Mafia, but that's not a real pack in Nexus, so it's just a I guess you would say custom pack that kind of bundles in a lot of sounds that we use, or what 808 Mafia uses a lot. So, but this choir's in Nexus, and I believe it's in the standard Nexus. But here's the sound, and here's what we got with the. But I did a kind of like a band pass EQ, as what you can see with that equalizer. If we ever turn it off, we would get a different sound, and I did a little reverb after that. I didn't want the choir to come out a whole lot. If you kind of have like the texture of the choir in there, then it can kind of almost you hear the choir, but it doesn't sound so fake, because I mean, this is obviously a fake choir. It's like a VST made from samples and then heavily saturated with effects. So I brought it kind of down and try to make the bass or the 808 overpower everything. So on to the 808. All the drums that we use are designed by us. That's from our drum kit. You could get our drum kit at beatat.com. There's links on the front page and images on the front page that should direct you to where you could find the beats and the beat drum kits. So hopefully you guys don't have any trouble with that. I'll also put the direct link for the drum kits, the drum kit page in the description as well. But anyways, for the 808, we always pull down the attack so that when we hit the key, when we hit it, it stops. Because if we didn't do that, see, get that nasty stuff. And we did a little tuning with the 808, cut out some of the high end, and then, as I said earlier about that distortion, we had that on just for the chorus part. But here's kind of like how we did the 808s. I made sure to do a lot of slides because I've noticed that Tory Lanez does have a lot of those slides. It's just a question if you would really put this distortion on it. I personally liked it and thought it fit, so tossed it on. And then I made sure to kind of, not in the chorus, but like in the verse, there's a lot of different 808 patterns. But in the chorus, we only had 2 808 patterns. So here's this one, and here's the second one. I'm just gonna play the 808s. So, and then now we got the snare. Snare standard is just a normal snare that just goes like this. And it's on this one right here. We have a little reverb on it, then a little EQ. I'll play. And as I said, all these drums are in our drum kits. I believe this snare's in the AT drum kit 1. So is the 808 2 is in the AT drum kit 1. Alright, so that was all the snare was. Now, here's for our hi-hat. We pulled it down from C5. C5 is usually the standard, but we pulled it down to G4. And you can kind of see some of the little... Well, we're going to change the snap over to 1/4. So... you can see a lot of these different little velocity change-ups to kind of like create different sounds from the hi-hats and be creative with it. Honestly, I would even probably change up the pitch if I still was wanting to work on this beat. And here we just have a little EQ on the hi-hats. Then for the next part, we just had a crash. It was orchestral crash, like that. Obviously put that in reverb and pulled it down. You can notice that there was a lot of reverb used. Reverb is great for creating that spacious feel. So, and then for the last part, other than the analog strings, onto the, well, we got a couple other things, but here's this percussion pattern. So, and the reason why you're hearing that weird, like, pretty much the delay, like that, if we went over to here, the mixer, we got a delay bank, and all I did was just toss on. This is exactly how I did it. Delay bank, then pull down the mix. I didn't even change anything in delay bank. So I did that because then it kind of creates this little, almost like a shaker feel. Like instead of just one like hit, if we were to pull this down, instead of that, we could get. So it's like a little bit natural, almost. It sounds a little natural, and we have a little reverb on that. Then we get this little percussion rim, and then the snap. These were used, I believe, out of the AT Pop sound kit. Personally, I think the AT Pop sound kit is probably the best one. It's useful for more than just the pop music, but yeah. And then coming up to the transition, we just have a similar snare roll, except I took out the G. So it's just because I don't cut anything in the sound here. And then right here, we have a gross beat. And this gross beat is right here. All it does is creates this stutter effect, which you'll hear right here. And then we have the analog strings that come in again. So we had the analog strings from here, which I don't know if we discussed. Oh yeah, we use Omnisphere, and it was just chords and little individual notes. So if you kind of get a cool sound, but if we pull up in here, I believe I just got rid of the bottom chords. Let's see. From over here, I believe I just got Control C. Got rid of those bottom. Yeah, I just got rid of the bottom chords and extended the upper ones. So then we added this little snare. This isn't the second part of the chorus only though, or like, and this is like the snare trap pop. So then we come out and we go into the verse, which the verse starts off in like a low pass filter, which we just had the fruity filter, and it's gonna come out. So and then we had that stutter doubler again. For the beginning of the first 8 bars of the verse, we used this 808, which we kind of made sure not to use a whole lot of upper notes just because we had the low pass on, and I didn't want it to overdo it because it starts sounding really weird if you use a whole bunch of upper octave notes with the low pass on with the 808 that we were using. So for here we had now we're going into from bar 8 to bar 16 of the verse. We created a new piano pattern, which all we used were the chords and then the upper notes. We didn't use the middle melody notes, which were not these notes, but these notes. We just took out all of these. And the piano was more of a texture sound to kind of create movement through the verse. We didn't want to create so much of a copy-paste beat. We kind of want to create little differentiation points, I guess. Tory Lanez usually has some mildly complex beats or beats that aren't really that boring. So we wanted to stay away from that. So we're doing additional like 808 patterns. So here's one of the other 808 patterns. Hold on. And then here's the other one. Here's where we had a little stutter. Right there. I don't want to do that effect too much, but I've heard Tory Lanez have some of these stutters with the 808. So here's a snare. Keep on using the hi-hats. And that piano automatically had the reverse effect from Omnisphere. Now, here's where I got kind of like the debatable part. I didn't know if I wanted these cellos, but the cellos were just from Nexus, nothing crazy, just standard cello. And here's was it kind of like the pattern. Originally we were gonna do a different approach with it, and it was gonna have more of an anthem-y style, but it ended up just being kind of like a copycat of the pad, which if we Control C, copy that, we can compare it. So yeah, it's almost like the same structure but just on different notes. So, and I don't even know for fact if it really went that well, but it was so mild, and we created a low pass filter for the cello. So it's almost like a mood change up. So, and then it goes back to the chorus, which is the same chorus as over here. But yeah, that was pretty much the main thing. We cut no, we didn't cut anything. Nothing got cut from here. But we should probably So that's kind of the main gist of how we created the Tory Lanez type beat, and how you can create one as well using a lot of the ominous, big, spacious sounds. We use like kind of like a piano as like a basic melody starting point, in which we then branched off by putting in a pad. Using the reference notes of the piano, we figured out similar notes that would go well with the pad, and then we based off the pad. Off the pad, we then used the analog strings, which then after that point we were able to kind of get an idea of where to go, and we started just layering everything out, and then created that breakdown of the snare roll, and then added the choir, knowing that we were going to add some orchestral piece, whether it was going to be cello, strings, or choir and such. And from then we decided to design the drums based around the melody, and we made sure to kind of create these melodic 808s, not where they were overpowering with the melody, but that they were kind of fluctuating with slides and even doing kind of like these stutters. So that was kind of like our approach of the Tory Lanez type beat. So if you guys liked it, Give us a thumbs up, comment, subscribe if you haven't. We have new videos coming out every single day. This is Andrew Rapier here, and I'll see you guys later.